Well, the 2018 session is adjourned sine die, and thanks to Minnesota DFLers, we passed a pension bill and a bonding bill that will be signed by the governor. Everything else this session appears to be destined for a veto. And it's really, there's no excuse for Minnesotans of why we didn't take action on the opioid crisis, the elder abuse crisis, sexual harassment, school safety. So many things fell by the wayside because of the intransigence of this Republican majority. The biggest problem was they refused to work with the governor, and they listened to special corporate interests. On opioids, it was the pharmaceutical industry, and the elder care reforms that we badly needed to do, it was the elder care industry. On the tax bill, it was corporate donors rather than ordinary Minnesotans whose voices won out with these Republican lawmakers. You know, our job is not to pass bills. Our job is to get bills signed into law, and the governor plays a role in that process. And you would think after last year that this legislature would understand that they have to work with the governor to have bills that would become law. And it's just a tragedy for Minnesotans that so many things were tied up in one bill that's destined for a veto.
So what is the legacy then of this second year of the session? What is the legacy of the 2018 session?
Total mismanagement. This legislative session ended in complete chaos and in shambles when you look at the work product that will come out of it.
You guys threw some votes at the bonding bill and gave it the majority it needed. What do you think the governor really will do with that? He says it's too small, but do you really think he would not accept that bill?
No, I suspect that the governor will sign that. I think the only two places where Republicans worked with Democrats were on the pensions bill and on the bonding bill, and that's why those items will be signed into law. If they would have worked with us on opioids, we could have done something to address that. If they would have worked with us on the elder abuse crisis, we could have passed bills into law that address those issues. They just flat out refused to work with Democrats, and instead they worked with moneyed interests.
Sound like it was a waste of time, I think you said that, making those corrections in the spending bill or those changes. They seem to think it's some sliver of hope, but you don't believe that's the case? Or?
I think the governor, sure. I think the governor was very clear when he left the last meeting that he has no intention of signing that budget bill into law. The language that they threw in front of us at 10 to midnight, first of all, we have no idea what it says. Absolutely no idea what it says. But second of all, in order for it to be effectuated, the governor would have to sign that budget bill into law, and my understanding is that's not going to happen. You know, it's very hard for legislators to look at a Republican speaker who has not been good to Democrats, not been fair, not been transparent, when he says, trust me, vote for this thing you've never seen before, and I don't even have time to hand out for you. It has lots of good stuff in it. That was not going to happen.
Do you think changes in the wind as far as the campaign season here coming up?
Well, that's really up to Minnesota voters. I don't think the Republicans made any sort of case to be rehired for the job of running Minnesota government. They failed on so many different issues. I don't think they need to be rehired. It's really up to the citizens, though. That's, you know, I think we've got to separate campaigning and governing, and what we saw tonight was a total failure of governing, and we'll turn to the campaigns in the next day or two.
Should the Democrats take the House, and if you become the majority, there are two big suppositions, but if that should happen, would you stop doing this 989-page budget bill if it came to a supplemental year? Would you bust these things up? How would you handle it?
There are 201 legislators. There shouldn't be 4 people behind closed doors making decisions. There should be, the process should be followed. There should be many different bills. This will go down in history as one of the least productive legislatures ever in terms of numbers of bills passed. And that's because everything was bottled up into that giant monstrosity. So nobody looking at this legislative session, Democrat or Republican, should ever do anything like that again, and we certainly would not.